Hello there, friends.
Hey, folks, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of SPAC Chat. You can see Corey there on the left-hand side, and she seems to be having a streaming problem, so I'm jumping in to try to get this one started. Today, we have two special people that are going to talk about some of the new things that are happening and how they're addressing them. And I heard some of the commentary. I'm listening in the background as they're in the waiting room, and I've heard some of the commentary, and boy, they've got some exciting stuff to share with you. I'm going to bring on Carl and Matt the Body, Carl Betcher. Boy, I mess up and chew up that name every single time, Carl.
It's okay. It's okay,
again, man, because
Betcher.
People are oftentimes amazed at photographers for our ability to say the names of the students. They're like, "How do you know his name?" And I'm like, "Hey, I've been around a while. We know the names. We can pronounce them in every different dialect and from every different country." So it's Betcher, right?
Yep. You betcher.
You betcher. That's a good one, my man. All right, talk to us, because today is kind of a good day, I think. Go for it.
Oh, wow. All right. Open floor right to start. That's great. So that's cool.
No pressure, Carl.
No pressure at all. Yeah, absolutely. We're coming in to midpoint in October, so it's nice we survived what we call the August avalanche, where everything gets going, and then we got through September, so it's been a really busy year for us. And now this is kind of retakes, makeup days, rest and recover before winter sports. Matthew.
Carl, where are you based out of? Can you tell me when your season starts and how long it typically goes for?
Yeah. So we cover the Milwaukee and Chicago markets, and our season for school and sports, we begin training in the late July, second week, third week of July, depending on which state we're covering. Schools start up. So the last week in July, we've got a couple schools, and then we go all the way till almost Christmas between schools and sports. We have live picture days, original picture days for schools going into November, and then we got some makeup and faculty days in early December even. So the rest of the year for us will follow the school sports seasons, fall, winter, spring. So August, September, and then November, December, and then March, April, and then youth sports will take us all the way through May along with graduations.
Cool.
Yeah.
I just think, because I have some friends, I know Mike Norkin. And Mike Norkin's season starts, I'm in Minnesota. And so our season is pretty similar to you guys because we push a fair amount of sports as well. But I know some of those other guys, their seasons in California start way before us. And so so they get sharing where we're at. Helps out.
Yeah, for sure.
On a side, it's ridiculous how much earlier school's starting now.
Oh, you muted yourself, sir.
That was effective. I was saying that it's amazing how much earlier the school year starts now than it did when we were young. When we were young, we didn't have school until after Labor Day, and that was ideal for a whole lot of reasons. I remember the days when we could shut down the offices for 30 days during the summer for a month and travel around the country. That hasn't happened in 15, 20 years now or more. So things have changed. As we all know, things will constantly change.
Yeah. So you had a good season, though, Carl? Everything went the way you thought it should?
Nope. And that's a good thing that we're talking about here. So every job was covered. Every year the goal is to improve our training and communication with our photographers. And so each year we want to have fewer problems than we did the previous year. So that was on track. But one of the topics that we had today was talking about our seasonal hires and how did that go? And what kind of caught us by surprise this year is the consistent number of people we hired who were not available on certain days that we were expecting. So we were still able to staff everything, but I feel like the percentage of people on the roster who were not available on any given day increased from even last year. So this is where, as a leader, I have to leave my ego on the side and really listen to my team. So we've already started having some of those conversations because I do all of the interviewing and the hiring and the onboarding, and letting it just come in and be like, what did I do wrong? Or more importantly, what can I do better next time? And I'm gathering all that feedback and input. And instead of taking the defensive posture, be like, don't tell me how to do my job. It's okay. Hey, you all see how I did my job this year. You saw the areas we struggled with, which was dealing with a lot of surprises about the amount of unavailable people on our roster. How can I make improvements for next year? And so I'm gathering ideas and suggestions and solutions right now.
So what are some of the ways, I guess, that you're going to think to, because for us, we did not, I mean, I'm knock on wood, we did not have that issue yet. I'm sure it'll happen. And so this year we topped out, we were like right around 50 employees with seasonals and full-times, non-seasonals and part-times and all that jazz. One of the big things we do is just like we say, you know, at the start of it when we're on, which I'm sure you do, like what dates don't work for you. And then we kind of, and so I had like one guy who was a big brother and he's like, I can't work any Wednesday night ever. And so we could schedule around that. And then the rest of it, we just kind of tell them like, we're going to get you the schedule 2 weeks in advance. And if you can't work it, it's on you to find your replacement. Like, so we don't really give the option because we push it out. And then we're just kind of like, well, if you ask for us ahead of time, and of course, like emergencies and stuff, we always work with them. But what are you kind of thinking you want to do on that?
Yeah. So one of the things I added this year was asking a knockout question. So right on the job application, I ask, are you available to work at least 3 days a week, including some weekends? And if they say no, I don't even waste my time with them. If somebody can only work 2 days a week, there's no point. So I asked that, changing some of the wording so it's seasonal instead of part-time, because I think the perception was from a lot of people like, oh, it's part-time, it sounds fun. I drop my kids off at school, I work for you guys part-time, and it's like, that's not what we meant. We need you 12-hour shifts. You know, when schools are going on, you wake up before the sun's up, you go to your schools, you go home. So changing some of the wording on the job ads to be more clear about what our expectations are. On the job offer letter that I send out, I'm adding more clarification there. The discussion came up, like maybe I should be doing more like when you fill out online documentation and you have to check boxes. Yep. So it'd be like, yes, I'm available 3 days a week. Yes, I understand I may be working 12-hour shifts. And so they're checking these right on the job offer letter before they sign it, return it to me. So I'm getting just another layer of verification that they understand what this, yes, I understand I'll be waking up very early in the morning, something like that. I think some of the things that come though with the seasonal hiring that we all do is scale. So if we assume, say, 10% of our workforce on any day would not be available, you have 10 employees, it means, okay, we got one person out every day. So you build that buffer. And if you've got 50 people, what's your 10% look like then? And then post-COVID, it's like people, I feel like I have more people that are like, I'm sick. We're coming into cold and flu season. So November, December, it's like, okay, that 10% of non-available, maybe now I got to plan for 15% unavailable between people not paying attention to the schedule, people calling in sick, something like that. So, but I think more early communication about job expectations and availability will be one of the steps that we're looking at. From my end, how can I more clearly talk about what we need?
One of the things that we do too that's helped us with our seasonals, I stole it from Valley Fair. It's like the Six Flags in Minnesota. And so we had a girl who worked with us, and she was a high school kid back in the day. And she told me that what Valley Fair did was like you had to work until Labor Day. And that was the deal. And so then what they did was they pulled back everybody who worked at Valley Fair, and they said if you worked until Labor Day, they gave you an extra $1 for every hour you worked. for the whole summer. So that was like, but if you left, like if it gets to Labor Day time and you're like, I'm blowing this off, I only got a week left, I'm not coming in, you lose that dollar raise for every hour that you worked. So we actually tied in, we go between $3 to $5 over the years. And so we wrap it into the whole season. And so the retention bonus by the time they get to October is generally like a sizable amount of money for the seasonal employees. So they are financially incentivized to keep up on their schedule and keep working the dates that they need to work to stay on the schedule to make it to the end of their contract to get their retention bonus. So that's been pretty dope for us. It works well.
That's cool. Yeah, we started throwing around like bonusing ideas. Like, is it like a per revenue job? Is it a per hour job? And then how long is the stick that you dangle the carrot from? Is it the whole season, or do we go monthly? And so the bonus pays out monthly. Like, because maybe if it's like, okay, if we start training in July and we're like, we need you until December, maybe they forget about it, or whatever. It's only a couple days. I can make up for it later. So it's like, maybe if it's like the incentive, or is it a sliding scale? Be like, the more you work, you're like, oh, you only worked, 20 jobs. Hey, it's $1 an hour to use your thing. Or it's like, oh, if you worked 100 jobs over that time, your bonus per hour would go up. Maybe to look at that, like doing something.
Yeah,
you work.
We've explored options on that too, like who's doing the most hours shooting, who's the most, like, because we do a lot of office hours for our guys too. So we've explored kind of ideas like that too. I like the idea of just having it be one lump sum at the end of it, because then it's like, because I always just tell people, I'll pay you this amount. I would love to pay you this amount. You're worth this amount if you work your whole contract. If you leave a month into it, you're a pain in the butt and I have to replace you. And you're not worth that full amount because I didn't get what I invested into you in training. And so like my training is based on you working your contract. And I think you're worth this. As long as you keep up your end, I'll keep up my end. And so it kind of also makes it easier when we have and we have a couple of guys that leave, and I'm like, oh shoot, if you just made it like 3 more weeks, it's a lot of money. And so then it's like, okay, good luck, thank you, appreciate it. But it's been
good. It's a fun that's always the gap months too, between winter and spring, January, February. So if they get a big bonus heading into Christmas, that would make them feel pretty good and be like, hey, don't spend it all on presents, because that's got to get you until we need you again in March.
Exactly. We had a good seasonal year. We've had a good crew. And the one thing that we started doing this year that helped us with the seasonals too is we upped our training by an extra day. We're doing additional training on it. And so we have like kind of a really cool setup with one of the local schools we work with. They need pictures of the kindergartners as they're like, not portraits, just pictures for bus IDs, so that bus driver Tom knows this kid goes on this bus, and they don't have any back images because they're kindergarten kids. And so originally the district used to handle this, and then they had some technology changes and they couldn't. And so they asked if we'd come in and do it. And so we do this, and in exchange, they give us a giant forum with a projector. We get 8 hours to train in a lecture style format. That's incredible. Then they also let us set up in the gyms. So we have space to set up 20 stations if we have to, in exchange for some free labor. So it's a win-win for everybody. And it's like my favorite kind of, I look around this room, I'm like, who the heck are all these people? I don't even know. But
that's awesome. Yeah, we've definitely capitalized over the years on just good relationships with accounts. This year we had to relocate training because the school that we normally use, it's a parochial school, but they were redoing all their floors. But they, again, just like you, they have a massive cafeteria. We can put up multiple sets. They've got a projector screen, so it makes it real easy. And we would just do a couple days in the same space. It's got a nice outdoor area. So lunch break, people can go outside, and they like us. So it's throw them like a little donation, and then we're like, how many staff are you going to have today? And we order extra pizzas. So then we go in for training, and we're basically feeding like their custodians and their secretaries, like as a nice thank you. So
smart. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. The other cool thing that we did for like athletic training that people could look at is we've got a good relationship with one of our schools, and the AD loves pictures. So we're like, hey, before the season begins, before they do any kind of tryouts, before any of that started, we used their facility. So we got access to tennis courts, the football stadium, the gym, and people got to learn like, hey, how I'm doing sports portraits in a real world environment also. So school pictures, it's in a classroom that's controlled, but sports, it's like real hard to teach. Well, pretend it's sunny and then it's cloudy and then it's windy and it's hot and it's cold and you're distracted and then you got to pack your stuff up, and we just made them do it. Like, okay, you got 15 minutes, hurry up and get to the tennis courts.
And one of the things that I hear underlying this whole thing is creating the relationship with administrators and with the district office, et cetera. Those relationships, you can leverage them in a manner that really supports your needs just by giving them some extra pizza, by giving them some ID cards or whatever. You can leverage your relationship much better. So that's very positive information for folks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've been lucky also with just being able to go in and I think our schools want us to succeed. Like, I think that they like the better off we can train our guys, and the better off they know it's not just helping me out, it's helping me get my people ready to provide a service for all their families and all that. Like, so it's very much a win-win, and especially if you're able to figure it out. So it's like, oh, well, yeah, we'll hook you up with this. You hook us up with that. It's not really costing me a ton of money to do X. It's not really costing you anything to do Y, and we're all getting better. It's how partnerships should be, which is what we want to have, is that partnership relationship, not that vendor relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you're doing with the kindergarten kids. This is like a pre-COVID film era story, but we had a young lady that worked for us, and she was a student teacher in a depressed economy school. Okay. And so they had, she's like, I have all these kids in a classroom that there's no way they're buying pictures when you choose between shoes, food, and rent versus pictures. So they were able to get the parents to drive them up to our training facility. We gave every kid a package, but we were able to photograph them at multiple stations, and it was great. It was a good win for us, because she had this school that she worked for, and she's like, the parents, they're never gonna buy pictures. We got the opportunity to have our photographers, and it was a nice range of ages too. So they got that experience of like, how do you work with kids of all age ranges? The kids got a photo package that their parents would have never been able to purchase either. So that was a real good way to kind of use that. You know, this is a school that normally you'd look at the spreadsheet and you go, on the numbers, there's no way to make this relationship work and pay the bills. But you know, that worked out really good too.
And it makes you feel good. Like, it helps your employees, and it makes you feel good.
Yeah. You know, for a couple of years, we were able to like, hey, here's pictures. We know you're not going to buy them, and that worked out really good too. But yeah, it's being aware of the relationships you have with all of your schools, all of your accounts, and be like, hey, is there something that we need from a training perspective, from a teaching and learning or development perspective, and who can help us achieve those goals? And
you know, another piece of that comes to mind as you're having this dialogue about the relationships and actually giving them services and whatnot, and measuring the value of even providing a service at no charge. We're seeing a lot of online discussion about, you know, what do you do to force people to come to take their pictures on a team picture day? Force them, good luck. We shouldn't be giving away this, that, or it's just an amazing thing that it's not understood that, you know what, we have to have what's called in Louisiana term lagniappe, you know, that little extra. It's the fortune cookie. What is it that you're providing as an entity, as an organization, that truly embeds you? It certainly is not your pictures. It's not pretty pictures at any time, you know, because we've seen inferior product quality win contracts, right? Because they were given something special, something extra. That whole dynamic is something that we're seeing, I'm observing online, and in fact, with accounts that we pick up, that they're just not willing to do anything on behalf of the school and school community, as opposed to strictly, we're here to take pictures, we collect money, we want it as simple as possible. You better be organized, school. If you're not, you're a pain in the ass, and I don't want to do business with you. What?
Well, so Calvin, my employees would all roll their eyes as I start saying this, but there's this book I just read. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality, and it's an incredible book. And like my favorite part, this won't spoil it for anyone, but the first kind of chapter, the first story in it is that they get put on this list of the top 50 restaurants in the world. And they go to find out where they rank on this list, and they find out they're dead last. And so what up, Alex? And so what happens though is they go in and they have this like whole moment where they decide that to get to the top spot, it's not going to be just by enhancing our food. It's going to be by enhancing our experience and focusing on providing our customers with something different in the hospitality world. And I think that book really has struck a chord with me in some of the things that I want to try to do with our business and things that we're trying to focus on in our training. Is it's like we need to take good pictures. That's kind of the baseline. But where we need to really excel is at the customer service and hospitality part. I think that's critical. It's a good book. Go read it. What's that?
I'm working on fish, and it talks about like the Seattle fish market where they throw fish, but they make it fun. And then for anybody that gets involved in hiring, The Ideal Team Player by Patrick Lencioni.
Okay.
I love everything that Lencioni does. He's got an At the Table podcast that's really good. But I think exactly what you're saying, though, as leaders, owners, and managers in our companies, investing any amount of extra time, even if it's 20 minutes a week, in some kind of personal development where we engage our brain in the thought process of how do I do my job better to enable my team to enjoy coming to work, look forward to the process of going out and photographing. All of this is cumulative. And so I think it's really important. Like somebody blitzes through the book. It's like, we don't have to memorize the stuff. It just, those concepts begin to sit up here and they ruminate and they intermix with other ideas. And
keep
that
in
all
mind,
comes to light in January when we all go to SPAC and your head gets filled with ideas, and that's the end goal.
And keep in mind that people are no longer readers. The vast majority of folks don't want to read, but they spend a whole lot of time on social media. If they simply, you can get the books on audiobook. So get the book on audiobook. That's what you should be listening to, not that social media feed that tells you about the Eagles. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's been I think that kind of feeding my brain on that. I think that's been a big thing for us in trying to keep developing and sharing the ideas with our employees and making sure that we are not just kind of like, the corporate culture thing always seems like BS until you start really pushing it too. And we really do believe, we have our core values and we have the things that we work on with our employees. And accountability is the number one thing with us, and like making sure that we're staying focused and stay training on that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, guys, we're almost at the halfway mark, and I'm going to move us on to the next topic that we were talking about today. And it's about those abandoned shopping carts, or what do you do after picture day to maybe still capture some of those sales? I'm going to ask a lot of people here on watching, if you have any ideas or strategies or anything that you use personally, please drop it in the comments. I will bring it on screen, and you guys take it away.
One of the things we're doing, one of the things I think we're doing this year that we're trying to, it really comes down to like a few things. You got to be able to get the images to families. Like, so you got to have good data from the schools. And even if, you're getting 80% success rate on your data, that still means, 2 out of 10 kids, it doesn't even have an option to buy their photos because they never open their links. And so we're trying to figure out ways to make sure that parents, if they are not opening their links, if they have some email account that maybe they just send all their junk to, if they just don't think about it. One of the ways that we're trying to entice families into it this year too, is we're doing digital downloads to the classroom composites for free. And so what that's going to do is draw back our families into the gallery that they may have left in the fall, back in January, February, and March. And we're hoping that may entice some people to come in and order. We don't know if it's going to work yet, but I think it's not a bad idea, because those classroom composites for us are always a free giveaway. We don't make any money off of those. That's just
you have got to be kidding. You mean to tell me you don't make a ton of money off of those team pictures or those team groups or those classroom groups? Oh my goodness.
And so one of the ways that I thought it was, and actually, Calvin, it was, we went and met Jordan up in Canada. And that was who inspired this movement for me. As I was talking with her, she said, we're making a shift towards digital composites because we find that this is what parents how they want to enjoy their content. They would prefer that over an 8x10. We're kind of doing a hybrid model on it to figure out where it puts us in. But I think we're going to be intentional with our release date on it, and that it's going to be after the initial run on school photo. It's going to be after all of that. And it's going to give us an opportunity to bring families back in. And maybe even if you are one of those parents, and we've all met them, who just say, I don't buy school pictures. I don't care about school pictures. I don't want them. Okay. So some of them don't even go in and look at their galleries. Mm-hmm. Well, now they have a free download, and it gets them to click in to get that free download. So that's one of the things we're taking a run at.
Good move.
We'll see.
I like it.
Yeah.
Now, so what you'll do is put the composite in their gallery, in the group gallery or whatever it is, and give them a link to their own personal gallery. It'll be
We're not doing one link for 30 kids. We're doing 30 links for 30 kids, 30 individual galleries. So it's going to be direct email to them. It's going to be direct email to them, and they'll go in and they'll be able to get their kids' classroom composite and download it for free. But it should, again, give them another opportunity to purchase. And then if they also love that classroom composite so much that they would also like to buy one, they can also do that. But I don't suspect we're going to have a big hits on that.
Matt, I think what I call that is the inviting them into the store with a reason to be there. You know, when this coffee shop says there's free coffee if you come by here, it don't matter if it's a 4-ounce cup. It's like coffee. I'm going to go get coffee. You can upgrade. You can upgrade and get that Danish while you're in there too, if you so desire. So I think you're on to something very good. Although you stole it, like all of us do, we're going to steal it from you, sir. I've been with it when it comes to those class groups. We've been giving them away for years, and there's a story behind that. I won't take up our time on it. There's a story behind that because we serve a lot of underperforming schools by many people's standard, underserved students who don't walk out of the school with something. So we've been giving them a print. That being said, I think going to digital is a very good idea. It'll save us money and time and production and delivery. Hey, that's wonderful.
And it actually is meeting what the consumers would prefer.
Sure.
Like, so all of that stuff is like a byproduct of also giving, like, they would prefer a digital one over a print. And so it's like, not that it's not great to save money on labor, and not that it's not great to not spend money on printing.
You're
but
meeting
also
them where they are.
Yeah, it's giving them, it's not really a loss for us. It may potentially be a win for us, and it's already a guaranteed win for the consumer because it's getting them the product they really want to have.
And I would add there would be a second package. Sure, they can get only the digital download, but I would add the digital download with their personal picture digital download as a package defined. And here are 2 specials that we're offering right now so that you can increase that digital file sale anyway.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
No, it's a great idea. It's a great idea.
Direct to parent emails still the single best way to sell photos. everything else. It's just if
Yeah.
they don't have a link right to their kid, they're like, I don't want to look through all this other stuff. But some of it's like late orders. I mean, we just had one come through. I shared it with the team because I was online looking through orders. And we had a mom. She ordered all 4 years of her daughter's cross country photos. So freshman year through senior year, she just placed this order, and that was great. So it's like having all those years available, because all of a sudden the parent freaks out and they're like, oh my gosh, this is it. You're done. This is the last year you're running cross country. I need to have all 4 years worth of photos. So all of a sudden that realization must have just hit her, and boom, boom, boom. There you go. Thank you. So that was a good thing too. So I think having those milestones still available in galleries that stay online, so parents have that option. They realize this is it. You're done. I need to have all these pictures because once you graduate, I may not have access to them anymore. So that
who's brilliant at
emotional
that too, Carl? Birdie like goes and prints out all these like packages on spec for graduations, and like
wow.
and he prints them out, and so he shows up at his schools. Now some of the schools we work with are like we work with schools that have graduating classes of over 1,000 kids, so we're not going to man a 6-foot table prints like that. We just can't do that. But Birdie has a brilliant way too of hitting, and it just being aware that there's certain moments that parents are much more likely to say, this is worth it right now. And like when I see it and I have it. And so I think it's awesome. And I think, like you said, I think it's perfect. Like keeping those images, and the storage is cheap, and being able to preserve those memories and making sure that everything works right. Yeah, it's awesome.
I would only like to see some way that we could get that the price would go up on the older galleries.
You can do an archival fee. That's something we've toyed with, because there's sometimes like we've just had a few. It hasn't happened very often. Like most likely for us, we'll have like a parent who's like, I need a link to this year, something like that, and that we're really eager to help with. But we did have a parent who wanted us to make a gallery for like 10 years of hockey team photos. And that required us going through servers and downloading stuff and creating a new gallery. We did charge an archival fee, because I was like, it's going to take someone a couple hours to go do that. And it's fine that you didn't order. But if it's going to take me a bunch more work to provide you with this, I'm going to need somebody to kick in on that a little bit.
How much do you justify? What is the price that you think is justified in that design?
For us to do that, it's a good question. Like that's a great question. So we acquired a company called SportsStar almost 4 years ago. We're halfway through our third year. And so one of the brilliant things that Rick, the previous owner, the founder of it, had done was he created his own proprietary software, and he archived everything. And when kids were done with hockey, he was able to provide them with this hockey photo that had every year that they played hockey. And so it became this like really, really, Rick didn't do a lot of contracts because he didn't have to do a lot of contracts, because everybody was happy. Everybody liked the pictures, and he got this product that you couldn't get if you ever left. Like if you left, that was gone. And so it kind of became a velvet pair of handcuffs. Now, really great product, really great guy, really great idea, terribly labor intensive. That's the only thing I hate about it, is that it just sucks to make them. So that's one of the ways that we are like exploring. One of the things we're exploring. And I know the Strawbridge family does that. I know Neil Lester's posted pictures about that, where they'll archive school images and they do all that. Now we're still like, our company, although we've hit some pretty big growth, we didn't get our first public school contract until 2020. So we are still young. We don't have 15 years of images that we could have saved yet. But I think it's an interesting idea, and I think it's a cool way that you can I not lock people in, but just make it a little bit harder. Make it a little bit harder.
It makes a lot of sense. It's
A
challenging.
lot harder to leave too. If you've got, you're like, oh, you're gonna think about leaving us, but your parents have their first grade through third grade, first grade through sixth grade. If you leave, they're not going to be able to get this 8 years worth of photos from first grade through eighth grade. That graduation promotion, you're gonna be scattered, and the gallery is going to be incomplete or something.
Yeah. Or if football decides to use a different photographer, then all of a sudden football is the only one who doesn't get it. And not only do they not get it, they can't get it for 4 more years. Because you didn't just knock it out for the seniors, you knocked it out for the juniors who are going to be seniors next year, the sophomores who are going to be seniors in 2 years. So there's it does kind of put just a little bit more pressure if you can get that into the culture of your client base as an expectation. I think it puts a little bit more of just think it's another decision you have to make. Is it worth shopping because we're going to have to deal with this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think addressing the idea of late orders also would be being in tune with different the rhythm of the seasons. So coming up to Christmas, we know everybody wants photos, but there's Black Friday, there's Cyber Monday. Can you tie something into that? If the kids got out of school, maybe that gap between the end of school, graduations are done, all that revenue starts to slide off. When you see that downward trend before this next school year begins, can you do a schools out for summer sale? If February is a dead month, can you do something for Valentine's Day? Like think about like restaurants, like they always try to like, what do we do? Or a movie theater, what do we do to get people in the seats when we have nothing else going on? So like August, there's no point doing a sale in August. We're just working and printing and taking photos. But where are all the gap months and what can you do? Identify your seasonal gaps and be like, what do I do to make extra money in these periods of time when the amount of photos being ordered diminishes? Is there something that I can do to capitalize on those opportunities?
Agreed. Very much agreed.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, the candidate journey translates into the customer journey. What does it look like? The buyer, they buy a photo. Do you follow up with them? If you follow up with them, hey, you already bought photos from us, but maybe you want to order a Christmas ornament. If they didn't buy anything, you go, hey, you know what, we're running, and you just identify your non-buyers. Can you go, what if we offer them free shipping on orders over $50 or something? Is there some way that you can entice the non-buyer to also become a buyer? So having a plan in your email campaigns, if they buy, what do you do? Say, hey, you bought this, add that. Oh, you took the free download for the composite. Maybe you want to buy a print for $5. Maybe you just want a digital download package that includes your individual photo for $20 or something. It just
right. Yep.
I have a question. Do you ever consider somehow doing out a background knockout, putting in a Christmas background and repurposing that same school picture on a Christmas background for Christmas cards?
So we have not, and I'll tell you why. Like we've
okay,
in the way that we've been growing, what we have found is that some of our schools have left vendors that were really aggressive in their marketing campaigns. And so I think if anything, we are probably a little bit lighter on it than we should be, because we have such a great relationship with our schools where we get all of our data from the schools. And so we have a very structured, like we actually don't run sales on school stuff. Everybody pays the same price. The only thing that we do is we do the first 2 weeks you get free shipping. Otherwise there's no promotions that we run, and we don't run a Valentine's Day promotion. We don't run the only ones that we do is just like, these are your pictures this year. This is your opportunity to buy. And so that's been, we actually had one school that we picked up 3 years ago, and we had to give them a roadmap of all of our communications, and they wanted to see them because the previous provider was so aggressive in it. And I respect the idea of trying to get out like a couple more orders out of it. But for us, we are focused more on not giving them an opportunity to complain about how we use that data.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It definitely, that's a good point too with the journey. You got a like you said, roadmap. What are your points of communication? There's so much noise in the industry. I'm sure we can all think of a company who just hammers away at it and it gets annoying. And, for everybody that knows Kohl's department stores, that Kohl's cash that gets you in, and then all of a sudden Kohl's is sending you like an email every single day. And it's like, unsubscribe. I don't want this. It's not worth it. My inbox is filled up with garbage from Kohl's. I don't need this. I don't want your Kohl's cash that bad. That I want my
Not
inbox.
only that, but it also conditions you to like, I don't shop at Kohl's if I don't have 30% off. I'm not going. Like, I'm not buying at that one. And so it's kind of been like I don't know, and I don't know how long we'll be this way where we haven't done the multi-tiered kind of incentive-based pricing. We really have stayed away with that with our schools. Now with our sports, the marketing department through ImageQuicks, through Blueprint, those guys have killed it for us. And they'll pull up some marketing campaigns. It suggests we run some promotions, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh God, that was great. Like I see my credit card gets run on Saturday night. I'm like, what the heck went out? And it's just a marketing campaign that revitalized some old jobs. It's great. It's great to see that stuff. But we've been tepid with the school stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a Zenfolio session years ago. They did a presentation in Chicago, and they talked about the number one thing that pulls people into the ordering process is offering free shipping. And I have not seen anything since then that hooks people more. Look at Amazon Prime, everything. It's like, hey, pictures, free shipping if you hit this price point, boom, done. Like this, discounts, whatever you want to throw in. Oh, if you buy it now, you'll get this free hat, you'll get whatever. Free shipping. I still think that is like the number one thing that really pulls people in. And they're like, how can I spend $10 more? Oh, I guess spend another $9. I guess we'll buy 2 buttons for $15, but we get free shipping. Okay, whatever. That still is the emotional hook to get people to spend that little extra because we got free shipping.
Well, and the other one that I love, I just had a call the other day. Somebody called in and said, do you have a military discount? And I say, no, but it's a veteran-owned business that hires veterans. So you should feel good about spending your money here. I said, and we thank you for your service and your support, sir. And so shut that one down pretty good. I loved it.
Yeah.
So we talked about this a little bit, Carl, but SPAC is coming up.
Yes.
Are you excited? Are you getting jacked about it? I know you're on.
I have already started my folder, collecting my resources, updating the data and information that I get to present again this year. So that'll be exciting. And I'm looking forward to it. The dates are on the calendar, and I think that's going to be just outstanding to be around everybody again.
How many years have you gone?
Boy, I started with PMA, so I'm old school. And then when PMA kind of dropped off, switched over to SPAC. But I mean, it's pre-COVID, so I think I talked for 2 years before COVID, and then COVID was the webinar year, and then every year since then. So yeah, it's closing in on a decade, I guess.
Wow. So somebody was we had the Strawbridge scholarship for first-time attendees that just got shut down, and I know that you're on the committee that helps sort through that. But somebody who might be listening has never been before. What's your tip for SPAC? What do you think they need to know coming in for the first time?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think a backpack and a water bottle. Those are like the number one things to bring, and comfortable shoes. Don't worry about dress to impress, to survive. I love the backpack because it keeps my hands free to shake hands and hug people that I haven't seen for an entire year. I love that. But I think the most important thing is once that agenda gets published, like go through it, kind of game plan a couple of like these are my non-negotiables. I have to be in these 4 sessions. Look through the list of all of our vendor partners. Go through and be like, okay, there's a lot, but like, what is your top 10 list? What is your like? These are the 5 vendors I have to visit. Everything else is negotiable, but these are the 5 booths I have to stop by. Have a game plan. Everything else is going to fluctuate based on hallway conversations, where I think those are some of the most meaningful relationships that we all build. But as long as you know, these are my 3 sessions I got to be in, these are my 4 or 5 vendors I absolutely have to visit, then it becomes a lot easier to be flexible and kind of go with the flow.
Hey, and following up on that, look at the agenda for the courses. Please don't send Corey an email to say, how do I go to 2 sessions at one time? She cannot fix that for you. That's a you problem. You're trying to make a her problem, and she's too busy already. I'm sorry. I just got to say it, Corey. It's the truth, right?
I'll tell you what,
It's
Calvin, the one thing I learned.
The accommodations that people attempt or desire for an organization to make to accommodate their own personal whatever it is. So Corey don't need those emails.
Oh, here's how she solves the problem, the me problem, the you problem. They go, how do I get to 2 sessions at once? You pay for one of your employees to attend with you, and you send them to the other one.
Divide and conquer.
That's right.
Well, I think I still remember the first year I went to SPAC, and I didn't know who anybody was, man. I was just trying to figure this whole thing out. And we were still like, we were just baby company trying to like learn how to get into big schools. And I remember seeing a class that was like RFPs by some dude, Bart wait. I was like, I don't know. And I was like, he looked impressive. He had a suit on. And so I was like, I want to go see this guy speak. And then I was so stupid, I didn't put it on my calendar. And so I remember I got in, like, and I missed the first half hour of Wayne's RFP class. And I was really upset at myself that I did, because, like, he's so smart. He's so great at it. He's such a great job of just breaking it down. I feel like a chimp when I talk with him because he's just so smart on some of this stuff. And I'm struggling. And so to piggyback off of what you said is like, not only go through, but make your schedule, use the app, build out the classes that you want to go to. Because like when you get there and you just start vibing and you're having fun and you're seeing people you know and you're getting stuck in conversations, it's easy to let things slip. And so that was like one of the big tips that I would say is like, not just go through, but actually put it on your agenda, put it on your calendar, so you don't miss that stuff, because that's the part that was frustrating to me my first year.
Absolutely.
Oh, and
you know,
it's funny to approach people either, because like Wayne, Barksdale, everybody there is just there, and they're like, Ed Monahan worked for Kodak, and I always used to be like, oh my gosh, I can't talk to him. He's like so at another level. And then I saw him in the hallway once, and I was like, hey, do you have a minute? Can I ask you a question? And we talked for like a half an hour. And I was like, this is amazing that somebody I had elevated to like the unapproachable status out of my league. And he's just like happy to talk with me for half an hour about just some questions I had in the industry. It was like amazing. So that would be another one. It's like everybody's approachable. After their session, you miss something, you sleep through the first half hour of Wayne's class, go ask him afterward.
That's right. Hey, Matt, the first one that you came to, your hair was a lot longer and wilder.
I did just get a cut. I like SPAC has been, I don't know, obviously like it's a pretty special organization to me. But the relationships I've made out of it, and just by being an attendee and getting involved in doing stuff, I mean, they've opened so many doors for me, just by being present and being willing to jump in. It's been career changing for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you guys, as we wrap up, I'm going to let everybody know, if you applied for a scholarship, you should be getting an email by the end of day on Monday, and we will also announce it on our social media streams. And early bird, which means the price is going to go up, folks, ends on October 31st. And no matter how much you cry, beg, offer to bribe me, I cannot do anything on November 1st.
Is the pool going to be open?
I'm going to send out some emails. I will post away on Facebook, but I cannot help you after the fact. Also, we will be launching the event app that everyone was talking about. We have the schedule set, the speakers. We are very, very close to being ready to let that launch. That should be launching next week. You will know, especially if you registered, you're going to get a very personal email with a link to go ahead and access that. And you can start engaging already. Find the calendar, like all these guys said, start making those really important session descriptions. And if you have any questions at any time, you can join the Facebook community. It's a great place to get some quick answers. And if you send me an email, just be patient. There's a lot of you and just one of me. Okay, Calvin, you want to close this out?
Oh, you want me to close it out? What the hey? I'm doing some other work. Well, folks, this has been a good and enlightening conversation. This is just a kind of a round table of, hey, what are you doing? How do you do? What do you see? And that's one of the good things about both SPAC Chat as well as our actual conference. It allows you to sit down and part of our cha-cha, the thing that makes us who we are, is the fact that we have meals together at a round table with 8 to 10 people at every table, and the conversations just flow on and on and on. And in the lobby area, a lot of times folks think that you're just going to class and it's boring and why would I want to go? This is not that type of conference. It's not that type of an event. It is an event, and this year being the 70th anniversary, it is the event in the photography industry, and particularly in the volumes in school photography business. So get your bookings in now. We encourage you to do it. Early bird. We love you to get the early bird, but don't say anything when you're late. It's kind of like that late order that comes in that you have a special late order charge. How often do you say, "Oh, it's okay, I'll just waive that fee for you"? No, you got to pay the price. So get in early or pay the next level pricing. And Corey, what does pricing go from and to? What is it currently on the early bird, and what does it go to?
Currently, it's at $3.99, and right now I'm brain dead, so I have no idea what it is after October 31st. But
It's
I'm sure I'll
above
tell you in
$3.99.
an email very soon.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's okay, Corey. We realize you've been on a vacation. It might have had some libations that would cause you it takes a little while to get out of your system. Okay, dear? Just keep it a secret. Anyway, folks, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you next week on a SPAC Chat live broadcast. We absolutely hope to see you next year, January, the final weekend of January for SPAC 2025, the 70th anniversary edition. Have a wonderful day.
Bye, everybody.
Guys.
Thank you, Carl. Thanks, Matt.
Bye.
All right.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.